All right. And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. This is the podcast that is about podcasters, for podcasters, and done by podcasters. That's right. This is our time. This is our village. This is our community. Folks, if you're a podcaster and I have not interviewed yet, please call me because I want to get you on the show. We have an incredible guest with us today. We're going to introduce him in just 1 minute. Before we do that, I want to make sure I say thank you to everybody for all the messages, all the fun, everything you folks have had to say about a new project here. We are growing by leaps and bounds, and it's because of you. All right. It's because of all of you. All of you that are podcasters that are on this show, you all have awesome shows. You do an awesome job. You put in a ton of work, very often for not a whole lot back. We give of ourselves, and I think it's really, really cool that we get to focus on you and highlight you folks for once. So that's the idea behind the show. And if you haven't yet, and you're a podcaster, go join our group, our free Facebook group, The Podcaster Nation. Make sure you put in the and make sure it's podcaster. All right. The Podcaster Nation. It's free. We're there. We'd love to have you in there. Now, my guest today, the guy's got an awesome show. The host of the Crazy Fitness Guy podcast. Please welcome Jimmy Clare. Jimmy, how you doing today, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I am flying high, man. I'm having a great day. And I love that you and I finally get to talk. I checked out your show. Cool stuff. I like it a lot, very
Thank
much.
you.
And you have a lot to offer. You have a lot going on. So let's start by introducing you to our listeners. Tell us, who is Jimmy? Where you're from? What brought you into this world of podcasting, and what your mission is now. Go for it, man.
So, uh, well, I basically I got into podcasting in I got into podcasting in 2020, right before the pandemic hit. I'm located in Pennsylvania, and uh, it's funny thing. It wasn't my first inclination to go onto podcasting because I was just so overwhelmed with everything else I was doing for my business. And my college professor told me, it's like, Jimmy, if you want to get your name out there as a motivational speaker and a keynote speaker, you're going to have to go into podcasting. And it's like, it's the only way right now for the foreseeable future. And I was like, I looked at her like a dog would look at you with like six different heads. And I was like, what the hell? You want me to go into podcasting? And it's like, are you crazy? And it's like, I know professors aim high, but holy crap. It's like, I don't know where to begin with podcasting. And funny thing, uh, I didn't know how to get into it. And then when I landed my first interview, my very, very first interview, even though I was like literally sweating buckets because even though it was just me and the person on the same screen, I was like, what's the person going to think of me? Am I going to be totally nervous? And it's like, I felt like, uh, I felt like I was doing a TV interview, even though it was not on TV. And it's like, I'm so nervous. What do I do? And it's like, but it was very good though. From a first time perspective, I critiqued it after a while to improve upon my interviewing skills. And funny enough, uh, when I was on the person's show, she was using this platform. I'm not going to say it because it previously changed names, and I no longer use it anyway. But
Okay.
she, but it was kind of handed like a hand me out on it's like, hey, since you don't know anything about podcasting, here's this big giant logo right in your face. And it was like, well, thank you. And it's like I was like, well, now I know where to host my podcast. And it's like, let me go get started.
Oh man.
And let me just say, my first interview on my podcast was absolutely terrible. And it was recorded by my phone. I was like, holy crap. And it's like, no wonder why no one does this by their phone. Uh, that was a really quick, uh, that was a very quick, let's just say, learning experience. I
There you
was like,
go.
this sounds like absolute garbage.
You are not alone, my friend. Believe me, my first episode was trash. It was so bad. So I feel you 100%. And people don't understand. If they've never been behind a mic, it looks easy. And people don't really understand all the 5 billion things that can go wrong and make you feel like a total fool, you know? So, I mean, you handled it pretty well. You came back because you've got a good show.
Yeah, well, and it's funny though, because the volume sounded so low on the show, I was like, and I admit I still kept it there because and kept it out there because you know what, people can if people are looking at the newer episodes going out, they'll see something a lot better and
There
hear
you
a
go.
lot better. And it's like, but I kept it because like the information was good and the questions were good, but just it didn't sound good. And luckily I saved that episode and I just re-edited in my editing tool, and I was like, all I just need to do is make it a little bit louder, make it sound good. And it's funny, it's actually is one of the highest playing episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, so it turned out like really garbage, and yeah, it's one of the highest played episodes. I'm like, good,
Hey
makes
man.
total sense.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Nothing makes sense in podcasting sometimes, you know?
No,
So that's beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm glad you kept it on there. It sounds like you are too.
yeah. And I forgot to add, if you don't mind me adding, so my mission also, and I forgot to get into my mission. My apologies. That's happened with my whole brain as a maze lately. But
Don't worry, man.
my mission is to help people on the autism spectrum and off the autism spectrum live healthier lifestyles.
Mhm.
Because during the pandemic, the let's just say some of my friends who have extra challenges, not just autism, but other stuff as well, and the list keeps going on and on and on. I uh, I know that a lot of people got a lot of my friends got heavy, and it's like, well, I couldn't go to the gym, and it's like I didn't even use the gym to go work out anymore, and it's like we got it's like so my mission is like to help people to live healthier lifestyles by different means, whether going to your gym or not going to your gym, showing that, hey, you know what? Oh, I don't have enough space in my house. You know, just picture this for a second, if everyone can. So my room is pretty small. I would say it has a small, very closet like this big, and but between my desk and my bed is like that. It's like about I'd say like 8 inches of like 8 inches apart, maybe
Yeah, that's
12
pretty
inches.
small. Yeah, pretty
And
small.
so I work out just in that space and then I use the my resistance bands over the door for back exercises and whatnot. And it's like, if I can work out a small space, you guys have no damn excuse.
That's true. I mean, that's making the most of what you have right there for sure. So you've got your podcast is Crazy Fitness Guy,
Yep.
and I know you're also an autism activist or advocate.
Yep.
The purpose of it is to avoid what happened during the pandemic. Is that right? Or I mean, kind of
Just
what's your mission with the actual with the show?
well, the mission is just to get my voice out there, keep my voice out there. Even though I absolutely hate the sound of my own voice, it's just because it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. I agree. It's like, ew, who wants to listen to this guy's voice? Even when I edit my own podcast, it's like, how can I not listen to my own voice? It's like, is there a way I can like just listen to the guest voice while I'm editing? I don't need to listen to my own self.
Did somebody tell you that you didn't have a good voice? Because I'm
I
listening
just
to you right now. There's nothing wrong with your voice, brother.
Well, when I hear my own voice, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh wow.
I want like a
Okay.
James Earl Jones voice.
Well, I think we'd all like to have a James Earl Jones voice. That'd be beautiful. I wish I had a James Earl Jones voice too. But
Well, your voice sounds like a radio host uh, kind of voice. Mine just sounds like, ew, I don't like the sound of it. Every time I listen to the sound of it, it's like,
Well, I appreciate the compliment, but you're being way too hard on yourself. Let me just tell you. I understand. None of us like our own work. I think, especially at the beginning when we have to see it and we're like, oh, is that what I sounded like? Is that what I looked like? And I didn't realize the lighting was what it was or anything else. So, let me ask you this about the podcast. Where did you come up with the name Crazy Fitness Guy? What's that about?
Well, let's just say that my two, before I even started Crazy Fitness Guy, I was known as two different names. I can't say let's just say the first one I was not very happy with, and I, I don't want to say it because it's not around anymore. Everything expired. I took every platform that was on. It's been years, so I think it'd be deleted by now, but who knows? But
Okay.
I'm not going to bring up that. And the other one, let's just say, uh, I had a legal issue with something by accident that I did not know about until the person reached out to me. It's like, you're infringing on my trademark. And it's like, whoops. But I can do, but the person was understanding because I was not like I was intentionally doing it because like, yes, I'm going to steal everybody's work on this company. It's like, no, I didn't know
Oh,
about
wow.
that. It's like I have heard the trademark and copyright, but I forgot what is what. I mean, I could have done a Google search, but at the time, I was just like, what's the chances of somebody's going to find me in a big midst of seas if something went wrong? I don't know. Well, I caught their attention.
It's amazing how many people pop out of the woodwork whenever you're trying to do something productive, and then everybody's got a lawyer and everybody thinks they invented everything. I have a friend of mine who makes t-shirts, and he's actually got a gigantic $1 million t-shirt company. But the first t-shirt he made, all it said on the back was "find a way or make one." You would think that was pretty basic. You wouldn't think that's some sort of cutting edge trademark. And somebody sued him because someone had actually trademarked those exact words. I'm like,
That sounds too basic.
what in the world? So like next, I'm going to be like, hey, hello, and someone's going to sue me because they trademarked hey, hello.
That sounds like a Taylor Swift thing.
It's
I mean, not poking fun at Taylor Swift, but she's like making basic words and trademarking everything. It's like, well, so eventually you're going to just trademark the whole dictionary or what?
that's kind of what the world's coming to, isn't it? Ridiculous. I'm sorry you
Yeah.
had to deal with that. It's interesting you bring that up because so many podcasters have to deal with that kind of thing over nothing, and I'm sorry you had to deal with it. But
Well, I was actually kind of in a way, it was actually good for me because I was thinking off the top of my head. It's like, okay, I was like, what would make a very interesting brand name that combine my personality along with fitness and everything else? And it's like crazy fitness guy. I was like, I like that. And it's like, and I just made it one name, just because, you know, let's just say that there's a lot of uh, you don't see many companies with like three words in their name. So I was like, I'm gonna combine all of those, and it's gonna come out 15 words, whatever, but or 15 characters, and it's like whatever. It's not bad, and it sounds catchy. It's memorable, and that's what brands want. Like for instance, this is bowling alley, like probably 20 minutes away from my house. It's not a very memorable name. And it's like, it sounds a very dull name. It's like, did you get this off a candy bar wrapper? No, I'm not going to say who it is because people in my area know who the person be like the owner of the alley and everything. It's like,
yeah,
did you
don't
get this
upset
off a
anybody in
candy?
your neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't really like the alley for many reasons, and I'm not going to go into it, but it is like it's just not a very memorable name because he splits it up like three different words, and they're like lengthy kind of words too. It's like really, and it's like I wouldn't go with that. And it's like it doesn't sound good.
Huh. Well, it's funny. Going back to your story about your professor, who told you to get into podcasting. I mean, you're a younger guy, so people who are listening to you, if they can't see you or they're not watching the visual version of this, they're not going to have any idea. But you're a younger cat. I'm an older guy, so
You don't look old to me.
well, I appreciate that again. But I've been around a little while. And so, it used to be when you were doing any kind of business on your own, you had, the business card, right? And then you needed the business brochure. And then everybody, when self publishing came out on Amazon, everybody started writing books. And, oh, I've got my book. Here's my book. Have you read my book? Here's my book. Now it seems like if you're in business of any kind, and I tell everybody this actually, who even even people who just own their own businesses, if you have your own business you need a podcast. So I tell them exactly the same thing your professor told you. You need the podcast to establish credibility. So is that why you chose podcasting as a medium, was to establish credibility in the space and get your name out there, or was there a different reason?
Yeah, pretty much was. Uh, my professor always told me to own my own craft, own my voice, before AI takes over. Uh, luckily, I got jumped onto that before AI came out. I mean, this was before AI was even considered out there, and so basically, I wanted to make sure people recognize my voice, recognize my brand, recognize who I was, and from that point on, I was like so far I've been on 188 different shows. And I was like, this is fun. It's like, I love being a guest. I like interviewing experts in their fields. I love doing what I do. The only stuff I absolutely hate doing is all the admin crap on the back end when I had to troubleshoot. Like, there's one company, I had a scheduled interview with them to help me troubleshoot this one issue. And it's like, well, because you haven't sent us the information, we have to reschedule this with you. And I was like, oh, come on. It's like, I have a deadline before I go to my trip next month. And it's like, I just want to figure this out. And it's like, and I can't contact the actual company of the other platform that I'm having an issue with because they put the stuff behind a paywall. And it's like, I hate dealing with third party people so far. Sometimes it's like, there's always a gimmick. And it's like, well, and then sometimes I get tired of their excuses that they use these days. It's like, well, it was a really hard decision for us. It's like, oh, I bet you, I'm sure you, I'm sure you lost a lot of sleep over it. Try to justify why we put everything behind paywalls. And it's like, I leave everything of mine pretty much for free. The only thing I literally have is like I have a premium podcast, but you know what? It's not like, oh, I only make certain episodes free and everything else premium. It's like the only difference is just ad free and you get some extra other features on it, a whole long list of extra features, but it's not like I'm making millions off of this stuff. And it's like, it'd be nice. Uh,
Right. I think all of us feel that way. It'd be nice. I mean, I'll
yeah.
take it, right?
Yes. Well, somebody actually did say to me the other day, it's like, Jimmy, you do look like Matt Damon. And I said to them, it's like, I'm the poor Matt Damon.
I can see that though. I can
Thank
see
you.
the resemblance for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, you could be a stunt double. It's like, I don't think so. It's like, I was like, I run weird and everything else.
All right. That all of that you just gave us, there's two things that I want to make sure I point out. Number one, 188 appearances.
Yep.
Holy cow. I mean, you are a serious guest. 188?
Yep.
Wow. Wow, man. I mean, over what period of time? That's fantastic.
That was Well, the first year when I got into guesting was like, I think I had 50 in one year. And then last year I just cranked it up into like, hey, let me go for another 50. And then it just went to like over 100. And this year so far, I'd say so far about like 20 or 30. Uh, I didn't. I've been picking my podcast guests now, like appearances now.
Mhm.
Like, wish I accepted every single one of them, but then let's just say the people who don't give me like a schedule link or just don't even give me anything. I was like, I'll reach back out to you. And it's like all I think keeps on thinking is like, yeah, right. I'm not being like a jerk or anything, but
Not
it's
at
just like
all.
some people, it's like, it's fine if you say this is your hobby and you tell me ahead of time. I'd be like, oh, okay. But it's the people who's like, yeah, I'm a serious podcaster and I do this every so often. And then you never hear from them ever again. And I was like, please don't waste my time.
Right. Well, I am certainly glad that you decided to accept our invitation. Thank you for being on here today. I really do appreciate it very much. And then the other thing in what you said was I always ask everybody, and I call it my corny question of the interview. I always ask them, what do you love the most? What do you hate the most about podcasting? Right? Because I always get interesting answers. You already jumped ahead into that and started talking about what you hate the most is the admin. So is that truly what you hate the most?
Yeah, because following up with guests sometimes can be very annoying. I've even I literally may try and make stuff as super easy as possible for all my guests. And then there's some guests who just have a hard time. Like, there's like, hey, I fill out your form, but I can't find the schedule. And sometimes I'm thinking it's like, well, I know it's there. There's even a link, or I now made an embed on the website to make sure that and it's like, and sometimes it might take a minute or two to load, but it's like, just wait a second. And it's like I have to use a third party tool to do this, but uh, but but then there's times where people don't even show up. Like I used to do pretty much all my interviews live. I mean, actually real time. But it got to a point where some guests didn't show up, and that just frustrated me to no end because it's like, okay, I'm giving you free promotion on my show. All you have to do is show up, tell your story, promote your business, and then I'm doing all the other stuff.
Mhm.
And and then so now I finally did I'm been doing everything pre-recorded on the same platform I've been using. Uh, but I think it's just the admin work of following up with people. I don't mind necessarily reaching out to guests because I was like, well, if I want somebody interesting on my show, it's like, oh, see, I'm going to go reach out to them, pitch to them, etc. I don't mind that. But the people who just don't show up, it's like, oh, I'm just so mighty for like high and bright on my pedestal for this podcaster. And it's like, I'm not going to go kiss your ring if for you to be on my show. Just say you don't want to be on my show, but oh, don't fill out my form. Don't waste my time.
I love that because I know that right now, as people are listening to this episode, okay, there are podcasters all over the world who are sitting there going, uh huh. Because they've had the same stuff happen to them. I mean, it's just part of being a podcaster is that you always have that guest where they really think that they're God's gift to guest.
Yeah.
And why can't you just rearrange everything in your life to get them on your program? And you're like, okay, really? I mean, come on. I'm giving you free publicity right now, and this is what I have to go through. I love the way you put that.
And you know what's funny? Because I've only go live on on this other platform on my radio station to be able to. So I'll go live on there, but for the during the recordings. But other than that, everything else is strictly pre-recorded, just so that I have kind of the lack of a better word, power to decide if this guy doesn't show up, he gets no promotion whatsoever. And because it's like, why should his name show up on my show if he's not going to show up? And it's like, let's just say I know there's this, let's say there's a colleague of mine. I think he's a kind of a BS kind of speaker and a keynote speaker. And the reason I'm not going to name any names, but the guy, let's just say he there, there was this event that I was having him to come on my show to promote in exchange for something else. I forgot what the second part of it, but doesn't matter. But the guy, he had someone else show up for him to promote his own event. And I was like, dude, I would never do that in a million years. If it was my own event that I was promoting, that I was going to be, I'm inviting people to come and participate, whether it's online or in person. Go show up to your own, go show up to promote your own event. Don't have some
Yeah.
other person working for you to go do that. It's like wimp. And it's like, I was like, and all I see on his on social media is you see him speaking uh, through images, like stilled images, in front of an audience, but he's like dressed in the not even in like nice clothes, not even a collared shirt or anything. It's like, are you sure you're a speaker? Because it's like, I don't think you are. And it's like, I think you're. Obviously, I don't say any of that whatsoever. I mean, to the person, I'm not naming the person's name, but I did the whole unprofessional look, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's one thing to be like casual on, uh, uh just relaxed and on a podcast interview, but if you're on stage and presenting to people, and it's like and it's look but to look nice, come on, that's ridiculous. Like even if I'm doing an interview, not even an interview, but even if I'm doing a presentation from my own bedroom, I make sure my bed is made. I make sure I'm uh, I'm dressed appropriately, even if I'm in a V-neck T-shirt, but there's no logo, no nothing on it. I was like, go. It's like have a V-neck T-shirt if you want to be like be kind of casual, but not too casual. But this guy had like logos, not even his own logo on his shirt. And it's like, come on.
All right. The truth as he sees it from Jimmy. I love this, man. Let me follow back up. I mean, you've made it very clear the stuff you hate about podcasting. What is it you love about podcasting at this point? What's the thing that you love the most about what it is you're doing?
Uh, what I love is I get to meet a lot of people in the professional fields. Like some of these people charge thousands of dollars. And I mean, I'm not being sarcastic on that at all. I mean, when I research people for my show and on a guest, like I seen what these people offer. And they charge hundreds of dollars by the hour, thousands, and whatever it is. And I'm like, wow, I'm getting this information for free for an hour. And I mean, and I'm taking it in. I'm absorbing the information like there's no tomorrow. Sometimes it gets me overwhelmed, but then I go back and sometimes in the recordings or I listen to it while I'm recording. It's like, oh, you know what? That was a really good tidbit. I'm gonna not like steal it. I'm gonna implement it to my own business or uh, like for instance, one person helped me not like through her coaching or anything, but because she was on the show for, and this episode currently that I'm talking about is not live yet. So,
Okay.
meaning on the podcast yet. But this person talked to me about this new way of block scheduling that I didn't realize. And it kind of helped me revamp my whole schedule and it made it more simplified for me and to block out the times where I really need to focus, whether and so instead of me and it was just very helpful. And I was like, wow, you know what? She would cost like, and on her website was like $1,000 to coach with her for however months. And I was like, it's like what I love podcasting is like I get to meet all these incredible guests. I can make my own hours. I can pick the days when I want to interview on. Uh, there's some days I do make exceptions for people if the time zone's like really really crazy for them. Like one person reached out to me, is like, hey Jimmy, do you have an opening at such and such in time, because that would be 3 a.m. my time. It's like, oh, I wouldn't even want to get up on 3 a.m. from for someone else's podcast either. It's like, yeah, of course I'll make an exception, uh as long as like it's reasonable. It's like, and you let me know if there's a difference like that, because there's how many time zones, like millions of time zones out there. It's like I can't keep track of every single one, but I do my best. But I have more important things than to think about time zones. Holy crap!
Yeah, that's
I was just
difficult. I know that's difficult. I mean, I've got people from Australia, New Zealand, England. I mean, it really is because one of us has to be totally inconvenienced, and I'm always the one taking the bullet for sure. It's like, hey, I'll be the one at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so it's daytime for you. Don't worry. So I feel you.
I haven't gone there yet, but it's like but if I needed to like be up super late, like late for one night, like 10 or 11, it's like I'll do it, because if the guest is, as long as they show up. But it's when they don't show up, I'm like, nope. And yeah, I actually created a cancellation policy for people. Like, I'm not even cancellation policy, but like a no-show policy. If they don't show up whatsoever without like telling me like, hey, I had a family emergency, or oh, I messed up the time zones, sorry. If there was no response whatsoever, they don't show up, they're banned from my show.
Wow. All right. I mean, good for you because you got to draw the line someplace.
Yeah. It
You
is
know.
like, I don't have time for this. And it's like, there was one guest who he was, let's just say he was very apologetic. I mean, wasn't expecting to kiss my ring or anything unlike that. But I was like, okay, I made mistakes too. So I was like, okay, he's sorry. So at least he said so. I was like, here, let's just reschedule, and I made an exception for the person, because he was also, I believe he's a teacher too. So, and it was like probably right when school was getting out. So I was like, okay, it is what it is. He apologized. But then there's people who just don't even acknowledge it or anything. And so then I just like, you're banned. And let's just say I keep that information somewhere secret. Uh, just as like anytime when I come across this person, I mean, I don't like seeking them out and calling them names or anything. They just end up on the ban list just because it's like, I don't have time. It's like, but trust me, I have more people who show up than is on that list.
That's good. That's really good. I mean, I launched into talking about podcasting and stuff before I really gave you a chance to talk about your products and your offerings. And I apologize for that because you've got a lot. I mean, when you go to your website, there are a whole bunch of links and you offer a lot of programs and different things. Do you want to tell folks maybe just a little bit about what it is you offer when they go to your website, what they're going to find?
Sure. So if you go to crazyfantsguy.com, you'll see I offer my speaking services for people who want to reach out. I actually finally found a nice kind of platform and form that actually gives you a quote that automatically, where I don't have to go do all of that. Woohoo! Uh,
More
hey,
admin work.
the simplification. I think that's not a word. The simple lives, pleasures in life. That's what I was looking for. Makes you happy, because it's like, oh, I don't have to go do this all manually and figure this whole stuff out. So I got a nice form for that. I mean, not super long or anything, not complicated. It's through this third party platform, but it's like, oh, if it helps me, what the heck? Uh, so I offer my speaking services. I have a link to my mall that has all my well before I so the mall offers some of my swag. I'm going to create some more stuff for that too. But it also is my swag, my premium podcast, my a list to of products that I use on a regular basis that I trust and uh, I use in my everyday life. I don't recommend crap that I don't use, and uh, and I just want to say one side note on that. Before I even created them all, it was literally uh, a big cluster. It was I had a page for another page on another page for another page. And it's like, that's ridiculous. And so I finally created the mall. And it's like, this sounds a lot better. It's like everything in one place. It's like, yes, it's on a different platform, but uh it's on a subdomain from my main website, but it's connected and everything. So I was like, you know what, it could be worse. It's like it was really bad. So I'm glad I simplified this. And I think a lot of many people like it too because it's one of the most visited pages on the site. And people are like, oh, let me go check this out. And it's like, it's very catchy. It's called CFG Mall, short for Crazy Fitness Guy Mall.
I see. Got it.
And then I offer my premium podcast called Crazy Fitness Guy Premium Podcast. Nothing fancy. Uh, I mean, just because I want to make it different. Because I kept the logo. I kept the logo the same, except for there's like a little VIP logo on it, premium, and you get ad-free content, everything, and invites to my private Discord community, access to like so many other features in there that I can do from Facebook. Thank you, Facebook. I mean, sorry, fake book. Mark Zuckerberg, if you listen to this, that's how much I appreciate your platform. That always keeps breaking on me.
I'm pretty sure he listens to all my stuff because he really doesn't like me very much.
I don't think he likes me either.
You and I are in good company. So that's funny. Yeah, you've got a ton of these products. So I mean, I would encourage everybody to go check out the website, and that's www.crazyfitnessguy.com.
The
And
one and only. And
that's
if you
awesome.
see anybody who has anybody like thecrazyfitnessguy.com, they're fake.
They're fake. Okay. All right. You've shared a ton. I appreciate it so very much that you've come on today and shared all this about your podcast and your mission and what you're doing. I think anybody who's listening to you, is loving the fact that you're just being open and authentic and honest about it. And I know lots of podcasters out there going, "Yep, that's right, preach it," because they're hearing the stuff you're saying, and we've all experienced it for sure. And you've given some pretty good advice along the way here today, but let me kind of narrow it down. This is usually our last question, okay? And it's for podcasters who are either new, are thinking of getting into podcasting, or folks who are in a podcast and it's not quite where they want it to be. Those folks. What advice? What's your best piece of advice that you can give to those podcasters about getting themselves going, hitting a new level, whatever it is?
Oh, where do I begin? I have a long list of a squirrel. I have a squirrel that I need. Like, I had to get my rusty squirrel out. Whew, I mean, let's see. My best piece of advice would be stay consistent with it. Don't always look at analytics every single day because the numbers will fluctuate. And um, choose a reliable hosting company that from the get go, because changing it kind of sucks. Though, um, if you don't mind me sharing one more piece of advice to go before
Please do.
I finish my thought real quick. Uh, it's a little cheat sheet that I figured out for myself. So there's this platform called, uh, what's it called? What's the platform? Oh, not come. Oh, Chartable. So there's this thing called Smart Feed in it. So if you submit that feed into all your podcast directories, so if you ever need to change your hosting company, just change the link in that smart feed. Keep the smart feed at every single uh, at the directory so that you don't have to change your host the link every single time when you change your hosting company. You only do it once instead of, let's say, if you're on 100 different platforms like I am. It sucks. I trust me.
Okay. All right. That's great advice. I wouldn't have thought of that one.
Yeah. And so my last few words is stay consistent. Don't look at analytics every single day because the numbers sometimes will tell you is like if you're not promoting it a lot, it might because you have just busy schedules, you might say, "Oh wow, the analytics is telling me I really suck." And no, you don't suck. Numbers are just numbers; they don't have any feelings. Uh, I've and my other piece of advice is just keep with it, even though that sometimes it's a bumpy roller coaster. Because at the beginning of this year, I almost reached 1,000 downloads in a month. I was 200 shy, and I was like, "Damn, I was so close." I was like, I only needed that to unlock uh, other ads and sponsors automatic for my show, and it's like just 200 shy, and my hosting company said to me, "It's like we could have unlocked ads for you," and it's like, "Damn it, why don't you do it?" I was like, now you're just rubbing it in my face. Thank you.
Oh, that's brutal. That is brutal.
I was like, no.
No, that's great advice. That's what I tell everybody when I'm, coaching people on how to like start a podcast or anything else. Uh, don't worry about the numbers, especially at the beginning. Just do your thing. Put your content out there. Just talk. Just record. Just get it out there. And eventually, if you stay consistent, like you said, then the numbers are going to come. It's all going to work out for you.
Yeah, it's one thing I always like about podcasting. It doesn't matter. There's no. What I like about it is that it doesn't have to. It doesn't involve algorithms. I mean, maybe for Apple and Google's platforms, but it doesn't seem like other platforms because, like this thing like it could skyrocket through the roof overnight. I mean, not even have to do something stupid like on TikTok to go viral. I mean, this thing could go blast off. Like I was so shocked that when I had like uh almost 1,000 downloads in a month, I was like, where did that come from? And it's like, and I saw a lot came from like US, Canada, uh everywhere else. Is like my podcast has been listened to 32 32 countries, 108 cities around the world, over 3,500 total downloads. And I was like, holy crap. I even people from Japan coming onto my listen to my show. I was like, and it's funny, I'm going to Japan next month.
Isn't that cool though? I mean,
Yeah.
it makes you feel like a little kid,
Yeah.
when you get downloaded in a completely different country, somewhere else. And you're like, man, all right, somebody in Japan wants to hear what I have to say. That's cool, isn't
Yeah. I was like, somebody actually likes to listen to my voice.
it? Well, based on what you're doing and how you're doing it, lots of people like to listen to your voice because you're doing pretty darn well, man.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed. And all right, let's wrap this up and let Jimmy get back on with his day, and let you folks get on to the next podcast you're going to listen to, which I'm sure is going to be one of ours. Just listen to the next one; you'll be very, very happy. But in the meantime, when you want to look Jimmy up, if you want to find his podcast, if you want to support him, ask him any questions, talk to him, be on his show, possibly, book him to speak, any of these things, go to crazyfitnessguy, all one word.com. He's got a great menu up there, lots of choices, and you will definitely be able to find what you're looking for. Jimmy, thank you so much for being on today, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it very much. Folks, this is the Podcaster Nation, the podcast that is about podcasters. It's for podcasters, and it's done by, that's right, podcasters. Love it. Love you guys. Keep the faith. Stay strong. And no matter what, don't ever, ever, ever give up. Keep rolling. See you next time.